Welcome viewers, an official YouTube channel of School Leadership Academy SCRT J&K. I'm your host. I will talk about one of the important aspects of Sustainable Development Goals and its action plan, that's education for sustainable development. This video is for all the school, especially those who have an intellectual bent of mind, who can really reform the teaching learning process through education for sustainable development. So let's start with the basic genesis or the basic history of sustainable development goals or education for sustainable development. Why there has been a need of this kind of concept in our education system. It begins with year 2002-2025. It begins with the Millennium Development Goals set by the United Nations. The goals are eradicate extreme poverty and hunger in the world, followed by universal access to primary education. After that, promoting gender and equality and empowerment for women, reducing child mortality, improve maternal health, combat HIV/AIDS, malaria and other diseases, ensure environmental sustainability, and a global partnership for development. So these are the Millennium Development Goals set by the United Nations in the year, and the target was 2015. And after that, we have in 2012, there was a United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development at Rio de Janeiro. There has been an appeal made to formulate common goals because world is interconnected. The problems are interconnected and solutions has to be, global problems has to be a localized solutions. The focus will be on sustainable development. So what is sustainable development? Basically, it's a process of economic development where मकसद इसका ये है raising the quality of life of both present generation and future generation without threatening the natural endowment and environment, because this belongs to future generations also. So as per Robert Repito, development strategy, sustainable development is a development strategy that manages all the natural and human resources as well as financial and physical assets for increasing long-term wealth and well-being for this generation as well as future generations. इसमें एक टर्म है usually हमारा एक sustainable development का जो concept है which usually relate only to the environment aspects. No, it is much more beyond that. It talks about natural resources, obviously that's environment aspects. It talks about the human resource, human capabilities. It talks about the financial resources. It talks about the physical means government, revenues and expenditures. What are the main features of sustainable development? The first is sustained rise in the per capita income all over the world and improving the economic welfare of the people. Second is rational use of natural resources, because in the beginning I told it is for future generations also. No reduction in ability of future generations to fulfill their needs. Third is no increase in the pollution, especially the CO2 or CO or ozone. The strategies क्या है इस sustainable development process के लिए? strategies क्या है? पहला है input efficiency technology, क्योंकि जो भी एक प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस है उसमें जो फैक्टर इनपुट्स यूज हम करते हैं दे शुड बी यूज्ड efficiently, optimally. Use of environment friendly sources of energy, like we have a solar energy, organic farming. These are the environment friendly rather than something like petrochemicals, they led to more concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Integrated rural development, that's linked because most of the population all over the world lives in the rural areas. It has to be linked with the sustainable development. Management of waste, especially आज के दौर में e-waste need to be managed. Another strategies for laws on disposal of chemical fertilizers or pesticides or fungicides, etc. Awareness about the conservation of natural assets for intergeneration equity, like in Indian context, world context, we have a famous movements which is basically an awareness program. These movements were like Chipko movement, Epico movement in Indian context. So this is transforming the world through. Now जो हमारा टारगेट है 2030 सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स का पहला है, दिस इज द गोल्स फोकस ऑन 5 P's: people, planet, prosperity, peace and partnership. People का well-being, both present generation and future generations. Planet, protection of Earth's ecosystem. Prosperity, continued economic and technological growth across world. Peace across. Partnership for improving international cooperation, because pollution is not a regional phenomena or the national phenomena, it's a global phenomena and it has to be have a global solutions. The 5 aspects are interdependent, therefore SDGs demand integrated thinking as well as integrated approach to achieve the goal. Now these are the 17 sustainable development goals set by the United Nations. First is, now there is not an extreme poverty, there is a poverty, so we have to eradicate it. No hunger, there should be good health, and the 4 is quality education. This is the part of sustainable development goal. Gender equality, clean water and sanitation, renewable energy, good jobs and economic growth, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities, a responsible consumption, because there is a consumerism all over the world, it has to be something responsible. Climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice and partnership for these goals. These are the 17 goals set by the United Nations all over the world, and India is the signatory of that. These are the 17 goals, and there has been 169 targets. Which country? There is a SDG ranking of all countries and all states. SDG report 2020-21 decade of action. Regressive SDGs performance, health crisis दुनिया में हुई, poverty increase हुई, massive investment in terms of physical and financial space for development country, क्योंकि there has been an emergency from last couple of years. Gap between commitments and actions, and access to quality education and vocational skill, SDG 4. Quality health and well-being, economic monitoring, prosperity with social and inequality, land use. Desired outcomes क्या है? उसमें सबसे पहले improving the policy coherences, क्योंकि SDG or the multi-dimensional require linkages across policy, legal, environment, finance, commerce, social empowerment. It needs a policy coherence across, supporting inclusive growth and well-being, leaving no one behind, ensuring the planet's sustainability, balance between socio-economic progress and sustaining the planet's resources and ecosystem, promotion of partnerships across, and having accurate data on for process and progress. And what is education for sustainable development? It has derived from SDGs. Now it's basically a lifelong learning process. It's a process and integral part of the quality education. Education for sustainable development is जो हमारा SDG गोल 4 है उसका ये हिस्सा है, एक लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग प्रोसेस है. इससे क्या होता है, इट एनहांसेस द कॉग्निटिव, सोशल, इमोशनल एंड बिहेवियरल डायमेंशन ऑफ लर्निंग. ये 4 चीज़ों पे बात करता है, कॉग्निटिव, सोशल, इकोनॉमिकल एंड बिहेवियरल डायमेंशंस. And more importantly, social, economical, and environment. So three circles: social, economical, and environment. These 3 things has to be together. Environment, the circle. This forms our SDG. Social, economic. There has to be a trade-off. There has to be a balance between all the 3. ESG empowers learners with knowledge, skill, values and attitudes. 4 चीज़ों पे ESD हमें empower करता है. It gives us a knowledge, skill, values and attitudes. And so that we can make an informed decision and make responsible action for environmental integrity, economic viability, and that's why I talked about the 3 things. There need to be integration of 3. Economic, social and environment. Education for sustainable development, basically holistic and transformation. It encompasses learning, content and outcomes, pedagogy and learning environment. It talks about the learning landscape. Learning landscape. It talks about the learning landscape. Holistic. ये ESD is basically regarded as a key enabler. It regards as a key enabler for all SDGs. As I repeatedly say that education is not the only solution, but there is no solution possible without education. Without education. So that's why I'm saying it's an enabler for all SDGs and achieves its purpose of transforming the society. As ESD empowers people of all genders, ages, because it's a lifelong process. Education for sustainable development is a lifelong process which empowers people of all genders, all ages, present and future generations, and all cultural and diverse aspects. Education for sustainable development 4 चीज़ों में, पहले laws में, policies में, programs में, activities में. Second, it on school education curricula में. Third, teacher education जो हमारा B.Ed M.Ed प्रोग्राम है, SCRT डाइट्स का जो प्रोग्राम है. Fourth is student assessment में. तो ESD 4 चीज़ों पे है. उसके बाद UNESCO is the led UN agency for ESD. UNESCO have been mandated on this. तो इसमें 4 चीज़ों की बात हो रही है. पहले लर्निंग कंटेंट, सेकंड पेडागोजी और लर्निंग एनवायरनमेंट, थर्ड सोसाइटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन एंड फोर्थ इज लर्निंग आउटकम्स. तो these are the basically UNESCO's plan to integrate sustainability issues in particular of those of जो 17 goals जो हमारे issues हैं all over the world, उसको इंटीग्रेट करना किसके साथ, क्लाइमेट चेंज टू ऑल काइंड्स. सिमिलरली उसको ट्रांजिट करना, कैरिकुलर के बाद उसको ट्रांजिट करना पेडागोजी में. इंटरैक्टिव, प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड, लर्नर सेंटर्ड पेडागोजी, ट्रांसफॉर्म द aspects of learning. And ESD being an enabler enables learners to live what they learn and learn what they live. उसके बाद societal transformation. This is the aim of education, to satisfy the needs of the society. It's not only their own, but education should be meant for satisfying the needs of the society to achieve this all SDGs towards building more sustainable world. उसके बाद learning outcome है to empower people with take responsibility for present as well as future generations and actively contribute to the societal transformation which is needed. So this has been SDG goal 4, talks about the inclusive, equitable and quality education. There has been in Indian context at primary level, secondary level, higher secondary level, at SCRT level, there has been a lot of focus on concepts related to sustainable development, concepts related to the environment, concepts related to the conservation, etc. तो स्टेक होल्डर जब हम मैप करते हैं कि ESG को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए हमें किन लोगों की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, तो पहले दिस इज़ लर्निंग टू चेंज द वर्ल्ड. पहला ग्लोबल पर्सपेक्टिव ये है हमारा, और मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव है, और आपका पर्सपेक्टिव ये होना चाहिए कि SDG इज़ फॉर चेंज. तो एट पॉलिसी लेवल देयर हैज़ टू बी अ कोहेरेंस ऑन policy, context and competencies. Second, SDGs and critical issues को highlight करना है. Third, transforming teaching learning environment for meeting the global these 17 challenges. A solution has to be within the education. उसके बाद assessment में भी we should talk about the ESG and obviously the continuous monitoring, evaluation and assessment. As I said, first curriculum में we need to incorporate the education for sustainable development. Second, diet SCRT level पे, at KRP level we need to know what is education for sustainable development. Third, fourth, mass level capacity building, especially beyond जो हमारा circle of influence है, that's education department as a whole. School leaders, system level functionaries, teachers, students and parents, but beyond that we should talk about mass level orientation at community level. उसके बाद monitoring and assessment in J&K context. So SCRT का हमारा एक अहम रोल है, SLA का हमारा एक अहम रोल है with respect to ESD, especially in J&K context. We will develop the key resource persons on ESD who will be able to at least understand the curricular goals of education for sustainable development. Second, networking and institutional building on ESD, because ESD is not an individual, it's basically a global phenomena. That's why UNESCO has been empowered to work for education for sustainable development. And the third is we need to develop a case study approach and research approach for education for sustainable development, keeping all the 17 goals intact, especially the goal 4.7. The School Leadership Academy is trying to develop a course on education for sustainable development, which will be open for all the interested school leaders. This course is meant for all the school leaders to bring education for sustainable development in their school development and leadership program, in their school improvement planning, in their academic planner. Second, this course will be 24-hour course. It will be a both hybrid mode, 14 hours offline and 10 hours online course. It will be on Moodle. Moodle प्लेटफॉर्म पे होगा, Moodle प्लेटफॉर्म पे. इसमें असाइनमेंट्स वगैरह सब ऑनलाइन होंगे. इसमें 10 आवर्स और 14 आवर्स ऑफलाइन, 14 आवर ऑफलाइन कोर्स होगा, 10 आवर्स विल बी ऑनलाइन. इसमें we will develop the capacity building programs for ESD, especially teacher educators will be first priority, and after that school leaders will be at the second. मकसद है हमारा preparing teachers and students who are not have expertise in pedagogy and their subjects specialized, but who are also champions and advocates of education for sustainable development. It's education for sustainable development should not be the part of only environmental science, economics, sociology. No, it has to be part of every subject because it deals with all the 17 goals. It has to be part of the bioscience, it has to be part of the biochemistry, it has to be part of the computer science, it has to be part of the mathematics. So School Leadership Academy J&K is leadership for all school leaders. Application of ESD at CRT level, teacher education in schools. One is designing the course and then applying the same in the ground, in our circle of influence. Third, ESD has to be part of every school leadership and development program, because that learning for action and जो हमारा digital ecosystem all around है, that will be on the principle of education for sustainable development. And at the end, there will be a continuous research and development on the same. So these are the references which I have gone through, like United Nations Sustainable Development Reports. After that, Niti Aayog हर साल, National Institute of Transforming India हर साल एक रैंकिंग हर स्टेट यूटी की निकालती है on the basis of sustainable development goals. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation के रिपोर्ट्स, हमारे J&K के सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल इंडेक्स हैं, ESD लीडरशिप प्रोग्राम फ्रेमवर्क है हमारे पास, which I was fortunate to be part of ESD leadership program of, I can say, world as a whole, because 4 countries are taking part, and we have to work for sustainable development, achieving the targets 169 set by the United Nations, and we as a part of educational functionary, we have to play our role as education for sustainable development. Thank you.